What's up, everybody? L-Tyrosine. Check this out. Backstory, right? About why I started taking L-Tyrosine and why it was particularly useful to me. 3 years ago, I went on the low-carb, basically ketogenic diet for a long time, 9 months. Worst mistake of my life. Fucked my health up for quite some time. I'm now 3 years later recovered from basically everything but a digestive issue related to the fact that I wasn't feeding my gut bacteria with fiber and carbohydrates. Big mistake. While there are a lot of proponents out there that reference some studies on biomarkers of inflammation and disease being lowered via temporary stints on ketogenic diets, this is not a diet that you want to do long term, particularly if you're an active person, particularly if you're a woman, particularly if you're a healthy human being. You know, I mean, I've been through it all. No amount of science or no amount of selective PubMed abstracts or no amount of Rob Wolf like paleo articles are going to convince me. I've already been there and I've already done that. I was already a proponent for ketogenic eating, and then it basically wrecked my endocrine system. Totally induced a fucking massive gut dysbiosis, among other things. Screwed my sleep up for about 2 years, and a variety of other problems. Virtually all of the low carbers that are bloggers out there about it have switched their positions in their heads, and if they have not publicly switched their positions, it's because they've been talking about this stuff for 2-3 years, and they've built businesses on top of it. Anyway, I don't want to go into an argument about that, and go read about it. Just go read about, go Google how the super healthy paleo diet ruined my life, and go read all those articles, and then go read about sorry, low carbers, your gut microbiome is not that into you. Go Google that and go read that shit and go read all the studies. And if you really want to fuck yourself up, just go ketogenic for 9 months straight, and then come back and watch this video. Until then, I don't want to argue about it. I'm not gonna. Anyway, I went on the ketogenic diet a long time ago, thinking that Dave Asprey and all these other guys were right. And listen, a lot of these guys are super smart guys. I really respect Asprey and a lot of these other people. I just don't think ketogenic diet is good for everybody. People are different. Bodies are different, especially athletes. I'm a former U.S. military. I've been a runner for 11 years now. I need carbohydrates, and it's not just like, oh man, you can fat adapt and get to the point where you fat adapt. No. The low carb flu is your endocrine system, your gut, and your fucking neurotransmitters, catecholamines particularly, telling you that you need to get those carbohydrates to make serotonin, to ferment carbohydrates, to feed the lactobacilli species in your gut, and a whole bunch of other very, very particular things that are real. Anyway, I went on that, I went on the ketogenic protocol. It really fucked my health up. First 5-6 months, I felt really great. Ended up finding out that really what happens is that the process of converting protein to carbohydrates, because you're not getting any dietary carbohydrates, it's called gluconeogenesis, is very taxing, raises adrenaline, and eventually depletes catecholamines, dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. So in my experimentation with nootropics around that time, I read about that, came to learn about it, was wondering, after so long, why my energy was such shit, my brain performance, regardless of cholinergic precursors and things, was such shit. Started taking L-Tyrosine. Now, we'll talk about it in this situation from a rescue position and then also as a nootropic. My brain performance, when I started taking 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of L-Tyrosine daily, my whole life changed. My energy came back, my productivity came back, everything came back. I had obviously induced a major catecholamine deficiency. Catecholamine, by the way, is just a term that describes 3 neurotransmitters: dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. They're called catecholamines. Those neurotransmitters are collectively called the catecholamines. I must have depleted them through that time where they were raised through the stressful process of gluconeogenesis, or whatever else might have underlied not eating carbohydrates, like not making serotonin or something, and whatever else might have caused that issue. The neurotransmitter imbalance probably induced by the gut dysbiosis by not eating fermentable carbohydrates, and carbohydrates that'll ferment and help some of the gram-positive bacteria to do their job in your gut, and your nervous system and your immune system. My brain performance came totally back though. Tyrosine, whether you're rescuing yourself from a deficiency in some of the neurotransmitters it ends up making, or you're just taking it as a nootropic, gives you a very acute focus ability. A very acute energy, mental energy. It's totally different than caffeine, but similar in that it is, it's stimulatory as shit. It's just like, you just think brain turns on. So I took it for about 6 months to 6 or 7 months, and it was wonderful until it started inducing mild panic symptoms. And that's probably because I induced a serotonin deficiency, because as far as I can tell, tyrosine and tryptophan compete for the same uptake enzyme or conversion process. And so if you're taking supplemental tyrosine, you might induce a serotonin deficiency. I'm not just rambling that off. There's a physician that ran into this problem and urine tested his patients and found out that supplemental tyrosine was tanking their serotonin, and now suggests, which is what I would suggest, taking a 5-HTP supplement if you're going to take tyrosine. That's the lesson that I learned. I could take it today and feel great so long as I'm taking a 5-HTP supplement, so I'm not tanking my serotonin. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. People, what the hell was I going with that? Anyway, as a nootropic compound, it's pretty powerful for inducing a lot of mental energy. And like I remember when I started taking it, and even thereafter when I felt like I repleted the catecholamines, I could just work for a lot longer. I remember going to the bar and having a few drinks, and while my friends' mental capacity started to decline, I noticed that mine wasn't. I would just be sitting here looking around like, holy shit, man, we just drank 3, 4 beers, 5 beers, 6 drinks. Everybody else is starting to fade. I'm just sitting here like, yo, I was straight, and but still experiencing the alcohol buzz, which was an interesting feeling. So very useful, a useful nootropic nonetheless, a precursor to 3 major neurotransmitters, probably should be taken with 5-HTP, and should probably be cycled just like most other nootropics. Where can you get it? Powder City probably has it, Noah Phil, bulksupplements.com, Noah Phil. You can. It's a GRAS supplement, so it's generally recognized as safe. So you can probably find it anywhere. A supplement store, supplement section of the grocery store, vitamin store, places like that. It's in some stacks. It's in Alpha Brain. I think it's in one of the versions of True Brain, and I believe it's in a lot of other stacks. L-Tyrosine is in a lot of other stacks. So it's a very interesting compound. And that's about it. Would I take it every day? No, already talked about that. Definitely cycle. Would I take it again? Certainly with 5-HTP. Do I use it from time to time still? Absolutely, especially when I'm cycling off of caffeine. And that, my friends, is the lowdown on L-Tyrosine. Guys, we are running a special on the Cortex Nootropic stack. This is the stack that we built, which combines 2 very powerful ingredients, which we tried to make a low-dose modafinil effect from. CDP choline, very well-known acetylcholine precursor, and uridine monophosphate, a dopaminergic restoration compound, a compound that increases axon and dendrite growth, a compound that will also convert to CDP choline in the brain, a compound that, combined with a choline source, makes phosphatidylcholine in your brain. No lie, one of the most powerful nootropics I've ever taken. Gen 2 is coming out within a year. It's going to be even more powerful. Everybody from US Army people to Wall Street personnel to moms in Canada to everybody else you can think of. And even lately folks that were on ADHD medication, people that have medication-induced brain fog have been taking Cortex and just loving it. For me, it was like I wanted to make a great nootropic for nootropic experimenters. We took a long time, a lot of beta testing, as rigorous as I could be with the process, and as sure as I could with the ingredients to make a great stack. And that's cool because a lot of nootropics experimenters and people that take nootropics and high performance individuals, CEOs, take the stack, buy the stack regularly. But what's been interesting is people with medication-induced brain fog and people on ADHD medication and people with other ailments that mess with their brain performance are reporting that all that fog that they get from the medications they take and whatever else might be causing their brain fog is alleviated with Cortex. Somebody even recently called it a stupor stopper, which is cool. And that's not how we intended to market it, as a stack that repairs your brain and makes your brain work better when you've got fog. But that's kind of what nootropics do, along with just optimizing an already optimized baseline. Anyway, enter the coupon code STARTUPS, STARTUPS, to get a couple bucks off of our commercial stack. This is now a stack that we've launched in Canada. We're selling it in the United States. We just launched it in the UK. So if you're in the UK, Cortex is now available. The shipping's a little steep right now. It's 17 bucks, but listen, it's worth it. It is a great stack if it works for you. Not every stack works for everybody, but this stack works for most people. I think you're gonna love it. Grab a bottle at livecortex.com, and hey, thank you so much for watching. Grab yourself some L-Tyrosine. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for coming. And check out the podcast. The last episode we did was on ashwagandha. It is number 11 on the Cortex Nootropics podcast, which you can find here on YouTube. We'll talk to you next time. With probably phosphatidylcholine creation, or I don't know why the fuck I'm like fucking choking here. Is it on? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. What's up? Yeah, man. What the f? Without thinking about all the taxing that it does on your, that it runs on your. Fuck me.